Hey guys, so I have been getting a pounding headache all day because I needed to say this and I didn't even want to. I'm gonna tell you guys a story, but first I'm gonna tell you what happened to me yesterday and then I'll get into the story. It is important you listen. If it goes longer, I'll make a part two so you understand me perfectly well. Now, those that have been around me understand me perfectly well, but majority of people don't understand why I speak out, so I will explain it. Because today my mom called me and she was panicking because first of all, I'm injured again. And second of all, she is scared of me speaking, being too outspoken, and I had to remind her a few things, which she calmed down. I love my mom. She's amazing. I'm her baby, for the love of God. But I had to remind her exactly my position on this planet. Now, let me tell you what happened to me yesterday. So yesterday I was going through my day. I was so uncomfortable. I felt like my head was gonna fall off my neck, and I decided to lay down. Now, since Saturday, I have been sleeping on my back, and for the first time, I felt this ease of try to turn a little bit to the this side, you know. So mind you, I locked my bedroom door, because that's how I like to stay in the daytime. If I nap, I just lock my door, and as I turned, not even a few minutes after, I felt a hand on my shoulder like this, like a full grab on my shoulder. And me, I panicked, I freaked out. I turned, which my fast turn literally almost took off my head. And I looked straight to the door and I saw that the door was still locked. And then out of my panic, because I'm a very fear chicken, I'm a chicken. Let's keep it like that. I now said, you know what? Turn back and then put the blanket on your head. The next thing, I felt another hand. This time it was softer and I can't explain the ease I felt after I felt the second hand. It was a full-blown grab. And I said, whew, okay. That was when I came out to make my first video I made yesterday because I wasn't even strong enough. Now, majority of the times when I cover certain topics, I don't even want to speak about certain things, but I have to, because if I don't, I always get a piercing headache. And I had to remind my mom today of, out of all her 4 kids, I am the only one out of 4 that has had the most injuries from when I was small. I had to remind her how I was almost unalived multiple times when I was small by my grandmother. It was with a pillow. It was with many different ways. She tried several times. Now, I don't like speaking about things like this because it's not the public's business, but I had to remind her, and I was getting a nagging feeling to speak about this. Now, let me get into the story of me. Now, my mom got pregnant with me right after she moved to Nigeria. I don't know if she was 19 or 20. She was pretty young. And my dad wanted a boy so desperately, but I turned out to be a girl. And growing up, all I had, I didn't even have a name till much later on. My father's boss literally was like, give this child a name. They used to call me Bebe. Now, I grew up hearing over and over again how I was supposed to be a boy. So, guess what? I decided to behave like a boy because that is all I heard. I became the most troublesome child possible. I was getting in multiple fights. I was one of those children that would jump off the fence. I would have injuries upon injuries. I was literally a menace to society. That's how bad it was. I was beating up boys, and if I couldn't beat them, I would bite them so hard that I would literally almost take off their skin. That's how bad I was, okay? Now, my father was the way he was. We're not going to speak about that. And we've gone through many things. Now, growing up, like I said, many times my grandmother hated me from the moment I was born because she was very fetish, and she had let's leave that at that. Now, she said that I was born to destroy her and whatever she stood for, that I was going to be that voice that would destroy a lot of things. So she tried on several occasions to, but there was always something protecting me from when I was young. It always felt like a shadow, and I was always very fearful. Till today, I am still afraid of the song Thriller from Michael Jackson, because anything that has to do with voodoo, ghostly, witches, I don't like it. Now, they gave me the name Black Sheep, right? It was so funny that I was pegged a black sheep because I questioned everything. If I clearly see something was right, okay, no problem. But if I see something was wrong, I would question it. So I was pegged the black sheep. I have had multiple injuries from when I was small. I had, if you can see here, you see this is a scar. I broke my head, my dad chasing us playing with a big catfish, and we broke his door, so we planned to go into the next door, me and my sister, the next room, and as out of fear, adrenaline, my sister goes into the room and forgets that I was shot, and out of adrenaline, she bangs the door behind me. Now, the handle of the door lodges into my head, and I was stuck on the door, frozen. Now, that nobody knew anything was wrong with me till my sister opened the door. Now, when she opened the door, the handle of the door breaks into my head, and I fall on the ground, and I stayed there because I used to pretend like I was crying when I was small, so they didn't take me seriously. So I stayed there for a very long time, and I have pictures till they put on the light and they saw that there was blood all over the floor. Now, at this point, I have a handle of the door lodged in my head. It was very close to my brain. And anyway, that's the beginning of my accidents. Apart from multiple falls, I've fallen down mango trees that I almost broke my spine. This wound was reopened again later on in life, playing. Now, I have burnt my chest completely with a boiling hot pot of water, completely burnt. And I stayed wrapped, and they wrapped me, with iodine and all the things. And the doctor said I would never probably have tatters. Now every time they reopened that plaster, I felt pain. I've been in pain my whole life, right? Now, I grew up, everything wiped away fine. I've always known something protected me, but I never understood it. I have been hit by a ram, a ram that took off my teeth, and still I end up with perfect teeth, or close to perfect teeth, I have had series of accidents. Now, like I said, I was considered the black sheep of the family because I questioned everything. I went to Romania, I struggled, I had a lot of ups and downs, but there was always something protecting me. When I tell people, they see it on a surface level. When I tell people about my page, I was always dancing and doing cute videos. Now, I was in the era where, everybody will showcase themselves. If you notice, trust me, I fine die. Fine die. Let me not even sugarcoat it. But I make my videos from the top because I needed people to hear me and not to judge me for the way I looked. My page was on halt for a long time because I questioned what was the reason for the page. And I always got a voice saying, use your voice. For what? I always question, for what? What am I going to speak about? Even when I started speaking again in November, December, I always panicked on what I would speak about, and there was always a voice that would tell me, don't worry, the topics will come. Now it's getting to 10 minutes. I will tell you with time how many things I do. I am a very spiritual person, and I keep telling people this, but they don't understand it. My friends understand it. I could be going through stress, and my friend will literally jump up out of sleep not knowing and will call me immediately because somehow that energy is so strong. But this is almost finished. We'll go to the next part. I have seen a lot of things that are so spiritual that on a normal day would terrify the average human. And this is why I always remember in life there's evil and there's good. Those two always are fighting each other to see which one rules. Now, I always wondered, even when I moved to Nigeria, I wondered, what am I going to do? And that was when my first painting came up. I have always had glory. I know my video sounds all over the place, but I'm just saying it as it comes. My first painting I ever made, mind you, I had never gone to art school. I told God I want to paint, and this is what I want to do. And I will post later on the first painting I ever made, go to part 2.